Hi there, I'm Carter, and today I'd like to introduce you to my idea for a toy that can be enjoyed by both those who suffer from low vision problems and those who do not. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't make the actual toy itself because I didn't have the resources, but I do have a sketch of what the design would look like and a cardboard model that's around the same size and proportionate to the actual product. Before I show you those though, I'll give you a little backstory onto how I came up with the idea. So when I was thinking of what to do first, the first thing that came to my head was that since we're coming up with toys for people who have poor eyesight or no eyesight at all, the product should implement at least two other senses in order to give the user a more wide-ranged experience. Smell and taste seemed too messy and difficult to work with, so I decided to go ahead and use sound and touch. So once I had that, I had to figure out how to implement those into my design. Now the next thought that came into my head was to make it somewhat of a puzzle because of the tactile Rubik's Cube example. And eventually I came up with the idea of a memory game similar to the pre-existing product called Simon, except instead of the buttons flashing to tell you what the sequence is, each button has a distinct sound and texture to give you some frame of reference of what you should be doing. I understand that it might be a little difficult to interpret without a visual, so now I'll take you over to the design and the model and give you a better idea of what it looks like. Alright, so here we have the design, and at the top you can see the side view, and at the bottom you can see what the device looks like from the top. And along the side we have some dimensions here. Along with at the bottom we have a width of 18 centimeters, a height of 20 centimeters, and it's 4 centimeters thick. Now, to start off, you have to choose the difficulty of the game. And you do this by clicking the mode button. If you click it once, it will say easy, which uses the inner ring, which has 7 buttons. If you click it a second time, it'll say medium, which only uses the outer ring, which includes 12 buttons. Now, clicking it a third time, it'll say difficult, which implements both rings and all buttons. Once you've chosen your difficulty, you then press the play button, which is directly next to the mode button. And as I mentioned before, the whole point of the game is that each button is assigned a specific sound and a specific texture so that you can identify which sound matches which texture. So the game will start by the speakers using a single sound. If you can correctly match the sound to the button based on its texture, it'll tell you that you've gotten it correct. It will then repeat the same sound and a new sound. You have to guess it in that correct order. If you guess it in the correct order, it'll tell you that you've done it correctly, and it will repeat that sequence by adding a new one on top of that each time until you reach your high score or make a mistake. Now that I've explained how to play the game, I'd like to introduce some of the features that come along with the device. First of all, in each corner there's a large speaker so that there's plenty of volume so that the user can hear it clearly. Next, it might be a little hard to see from the camera angle there, but some braille underneath every word that comes along on the device. So for the play button here, it says play, and for mode, there's mode in braille. And on the side here, if you notice, there's a little switch with the word mix under it and the braille that accompanies that. Now the mix switch, when it's turned on, these wheels or rings will rotate to change the orientation if the user wants to switch up how everything works and where everything will be, just to increase the difficulty. Now I'll take you over to the other side and show you the cardboard model and give you a better view of what this thing actually looks like in real life. Alright, so now we have the cardboard model here. So as you can see, I've done my best to make it as proportionate to the design that I made as possible. We've got the 20 by 18 top view with the 4 centimeter thickness. It's not 100% perfect. I would have liked to round out the corners like I did have on the design, but with the resources I had, it was just a lot easier to make it a square box. As you can probably tell here, the biggest difference is that we have some texture on the buttons. I just did this quickly. It would be definitely a lot better on the actual finished product, but this is just to give a bit of an overview of what it would look like. So we've got kind of a nice soft touch here, and then different shapes on each one, and then a bit of a pokey texture. There's countless different textures that we could use, but these are just the ones that I chose. Now, like the design says with the mix button, I've also implemented this with the ability to spin. Each ring is individual of its own and can spin to its own degree. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and have a great night.